everyone, today I'm going to be doing my cover for my mushroom journal, and for that I'm going to be using my sewing machine. I'm going to sew it. You can glue it. I found with gluing personally that it left it really bubbly, my journal cover. I'll show you. It's bubbly and it's really like stiff and hard. This was the first one I did, so I didn't know any better. I mean, it's okay, it's still fine, but I want to sew it. I've done sewn one since and they've come out a lot better. So I've got some card for the inside of my journal, for the inside of my journal cover. I've got the actual card that I'm going to use to stiffen the whole thing, and then I've got fabric for the outside of my journal cover. I've also got some big paper clips. I bought these on Amazon. I'm going to use these to hold everything together when I go to sew it. So this is going to be my outside cover. This is fabric that I got from eBay. I just typed in mushroom fabric and this was one of the ones that came up that I really liked. Now my cover is going to be bigger than the average sized cover. The cover that I've made before for the last journal I made, for the hot air balloon one, was just the size of a piece of this card. So it was a 12 inches wide, and I turned this bit up to make a pocket, which I'm going to do again, but this is 14 3/4 inches wide, so it's not going to be wide enough. So I'm going to sew two pieces together. This is going to be the spine of my journal. This is what, it's an Amazon envelope. I'm going to have 4 signatures in there, so I need a broader spine, and that's how I'm going to have it. It's going to be a bit bigger. I wanted it a bit bigger. So I'm going to sew 2 of these together, and I'm going to sew them, overlap them where the spine is. That's how I'm going to do it. So that'll be stronger there, won't it? I'll sew down here and then I'll turn it over and sew down the other side as well. Then I will cut it to fit. So let's do the sewing bit first. I'll pause you while I do that. So we'll put it where we want it. I want it to overlap my spine to make it stronger. I'll hold it with one of my massive paper clips. And you can see I've just about lined that up. Yeah, it's just about lined up, hasn't it? That has. There we go. You can't even see where it's joined, can you? I mean, you will when I've sewn it, but right, so I'll put another paper clip in the top there. It's actually that paper clip's actually quite thick for this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop a staple in there. I can always take it out again after if I want to. Just pop a staple in. That'll hold it in while I sew around it, won't it? Yeah, perfect. We'll need those later though. So I've popped a staple in at each end. I'm going to go and sew it down here and flip it over and sew it down here too. And that will strengthen the spine of my book. Okay, so I've sewn my 2 pieces of card together. I've used a bit of a decorative stitch there. Of course, if you're making your journal smaller, if you're making it 12 by whatever, you won't have to do that because you'll just need 1 sheet. Because I have to be difficult, I wanted to use 2 sheets. And so this bit in the middle here is double. I can now take out my paper clips. I don't need those anymore. They were just holding that card in place for me. So yeah, you can't even tell that that's joined really, can you? It really has matched up perfectly. Really thrilled about that, I am. So, little things. Let's take those paper clips out. Not paper clips, staples. Staples, Jay, staples. I do get the names of things wrong, including my husband sometimes, which is not always good. So here we are. Now I need to cut that down. So I'm going to put make sure that this bit is lined up with the middle. This is where I want it to be, so that it's lined up. Yep, that's lined up really nicely there. And at the bottom. And I'm going to fold up the bottom to make some tuck spots in the front and back of my journal. So what I need to cut out is, let's get a pencil, down here and down here. All the way down. Don't cut across the bottom because we're going to fold that up to make a tuck spot, as I say, in the front and the back of our journal. Line it up with your lines you've got already and just draw. I've just drawn all the way down the whole 12 inches. Same on the other side, line it up and just draw. So you can see I've got it 12 inches wide. Now, you need to cut just inside those lines because you want your lining bit, hold on, I've got a tail there. You want your lining bit to be a little bit smaller than the outside, and I'm going to have it this way round so that I've got the card on the inside. Yep. So I'm going to cut just inside those lines so it's a little bit smaller. She says, here's my scissors. So cut just inside those lines. They're a guide. There we go. And I have only cut just inside. I haven't cut a load off. Same on this side. I mean, you can always cut it down a bit more afterwards. You don't have to, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a junk journal. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now what we need to do is, I'm going to have this bit that you can see there, look, that it fits inside there nicely. We want it up here a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to fold this up to be a pocket. So make sure you fold it up far enough, like this. See, so that it comes to the edge, but it's not right to the edge. Like that. There we go. I may have to cut it down a little bit smaller still. I'll see how we get on. Yeah, I think that's okay though. What do you think? Yeah, I've got room all the way. You need a little bit of room all the way around. Yeah, I think that's going to work okay. So the next thing we're going to do is cut our fabric to size. Pop that to one side for 1 minute. I only bought 1/2 metre of this fabric, and I would have got away with 1/4 metre, but because I love it so much, I'm fully intending to make myself one of these journals. I'm going to make one to sell and one for myself. That's my plan. I'm going to cut this. No, actually, I don't know if I need to. No, I don't need to. It hasn't got the holes in it, so I'm not going to cut this white edge off because you won't see that anyway. Once we've got that folded in, I'm going to fold it around, cut it to size, fold it in, and then you'll have the and then we will have the cardboard over the top, so you won't actually see that white piece, so I don't need to cut it off. So we'll cut it out. Make sure you leave a good inch and a half, whatever you feel comfortable with. I mean, just because I'm doing it like this doesn't mean you have to. You do what you want to do and what you like. This is just how I'm doing it. And I'm no expert, let's just make that clear. I haven't made many journals yet. But I have learnt something from the few that I've made, so. Cut your fabric. Make sure it's straight. Yeah, make sure I've still got some that end, don't, because sometimes when you pull it, you can go like this and end up with not enough fabric at that end. I'd rather have too much and cut a bit off than not have enough and waste the whole piece of fabric. So I would have got away with 1/4 of a yard of that fabric. But what I can do is I can cut out the little toadstools and that on here and use them in my journal, can't I? I love it. I love that fabric so much. So I'll put the fabric on my mushroom journal pile. Right, next. It simply is folding your fabric over and holding it into place with your paper clips. This is how I do it. And you want it tight, you want it on there quite tight. Don't try and sew over these paper clips though, they're too massive. I think you could get away with smaller paper clips. You could use bulldog clips, you could staple it into place and then take the staples out. You know, whatever's best for you, or if you decide you're going to glue it, you can glue it. As I say, I made a bodge up gluing mine, so that's why I'm not going to glue it. I'm going to run out of paper clips in a minute. I'm not going to have enough to do the whole thing, but never mind. And I don't know why, because I managed to do it before without using all of my, and I had enough paper clips. The card that you cut off, by the way, save that. You can use that to make belly bands, tuck spots, journaling cards, all sorts. Don't throw anything away. I never throw anything away. So now I've run out of paper clips. Got some more in here, they're just not as big. You can see I'm doing all the sides first and then I'll concentrate on the corners once I've got the sides on. These are pretty big paper clips actually. You probably would get away without having to buy these giant ones. I just find the giant ones are ideal for this, but yeah, they're okay, aren't they? Nothing wrong with those. So then I'm going to do my corners. So tuck your corner like this is how I do mine. You do yours however you want, but this is how I do mine. Pull the pointy bit in first and then pull up one side and then the other side like so. Make sure it's nice and tight, and then we'll stick another paper clip on there. So again, pull the point in first, then pull up one side and then the other side. It does make it a bit bulky there, but you can stitch over that. That's just how I do it. If you do it like that, you end up with too much fabric down the side here. Yeah, you need to get your fabric sort of all in the middle there, all to bring it to a point like that, so you're not ending up with a ton of fabric. Pop that under there. of good measure. So again, the pointing, then the side. I actually put that one down first so it's not, you know, so you've got less of it, that white showing. Nice and tight. Put your paper clip in to hold it in place. And then the last one, the corner, the white bit first, and then the other bit. Hold it in place with your paper clip. I suppose even little paper clips would do, or like I say, you could even go do it with a stapler. I think a stapler would work just as well. There we go. So it's all in place, and I'm going to turn it over and just check that it's, oh yeah, that's lovely. It's nice and tight, look. And do make sure you know which is the top and which is the bottom of your journal. Do make sure you know that. Then we put our lining in. It needs to go over the top of the fabric like this. And make sure you've got your pockets at the bottom. Always double check. Yeah, that's the top, that's the bottom. And then I'm going to go round and use my paper clips to clip this in place as well. Do them one at a time and just go over. Don't try and sew over these paper clips. You have to pull them out as you come to them, otherwise you'll ruin your sewing machine. Of course, if you are gluing your cover, oh look what I've done there. If you are gluing your cover, you would have glued the fabric into place first and then put the inside part on and glued it into place. This actually is quicker. It saves you having to wait for it to dry. Right, that's not quite right there. Look, I need to just pull that up there a tiny bit. You can do that. There we go. That's better. Happier with that. So go round with all your paper clips. Make sure you don't leave any underneath or you'll break your sewing machine needle. Try and keep it nice and tight as you go. I have tried cutting off the corners as well before I turned it in, but it left a little bit. I mean, it didn't matter because I ended up covering them with the corner covers, but yeah, I've decided that I liked it better with that, you know, not cutting the corners off before I fold the fabric in. So here we go. Triple check that you've got it in the right way up. I have. Now I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew all the way around. Sew across here too so that you sew that pocket down. Then when you put your signatures in, it will hold that down too and you'll have your little tuck spot there. So I'm going to go and sew that on and then I'll be back. Okay, I forgot something. I'm just busy sewing away and my bobbin runs out and I thought, oh, I forgot to say that if you want to add a ribbon closure or a lace closure, any fabric closure you want to use, you could pop it in now and stitch it just under the edge there while you're stitching round. So, for example, I might use this lace, in which case I would fold it over and tuck it under here like this, halfway down, roughly halfway down. I mean, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to have a closure at all if you don't want. But that's how I'm going to add mine. So yeah, when I stitch that, I'll go over that a few times and it'll hold that in place then. Let's pop a thing on there, yeah. And I need to cut that in half. Pretty fabric, isn't it? Pretty, I like it because it's shabby as well. It's shabby on one side, I like that. So I need to cut that there. Trust me to forget something, can't you? Like I say, you don't have to do this. On my last journal, I added it at the end by just sewing it on the outside. So make sure they match up. And tuck your other piece in. That's it. Get in there. There we go. Oh, now we've got paper clips pinging everywhere. Let's see. So have I lined that up properly? Yes, that's going to be perfect. So let's pop a paper clip onto that side as well. There we are. They're pinging everywhere the paper clips are. That one's pinged off as well, look. So when you're sewing that part, go over it a few times, go backwards and forwards over it a few times to hold that in place better. Yeah, I started sewing and my bobbin ran out, so I had to rethread my bobbin, and that's when it occurred to me that I hadn't mentioned adding a fastener. Right, back to the sewing machine I go. Oh, so there we go. That is our journal cover made. There's the spine. It's nice and tight, but not too tight. It's the right way up. It's got its fastening. These, you can just tie these together. Remember, it's a junk journal. It has to look a little bit shabby. If you don't want shabby, just use ribbon, or you could even use string, anything you like. You could use any kind of fastener. That's just the one I chose. So that, I think that looks really pretty on there, doesn't it? Yeah, so that was part 2 of my mushroom journal series. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.